Alright, Bajan, we are back. थोड़ा बहुत दिक्कत थी लेकिन देखो वापस आ गए. Oh my God, the
नमस्कार.
mysteries never end, huh?
नमस्ते.
Namaskara. Vanakkam.
खुशामदीद.
Assalamu alaikum.
सत श्री अकाल.
नीलकंदरी की वंदनमो.
जय स्वामीनारायण.
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जिनेंद्र.
और कुछ हम सारे इस पाली भाई बंधु बोलेंगे याली मदद.
एंड मौला अली मदद कहते हुए सारे फीजियन भाई बहनों को बोलेंगे नीसम बोला.
हम आ गए हैं बंजन आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे myself फालतू बाबा.
एंड ऑफ कोर्स आपकी लॉन्ग लॉस्ट फालतू रानी.
लॉन्ग लॉस्ट हाँ
लॉन्ग लॉस्ट बहुत दिनों में
तो
यहाँ
है
पे
ही.
आपको बहुत मिस कर
क्या
रही
फादर इज सो मीन फादर. दे ऑल मिस यू सो मच.
आई मिस्ड यू सो
तुझे
मच.
कितना मिस किए मालूम है लोग. माय गॉड.
यार बंदीजान आप आके हमें हेल्प करो ओके बिकॉज
हाँ.
हम लोग सिर्फ आलतू फालतू है छोटे मोटे लोग
exactly.
हैं.
छोटे
हम
मोटे
लोग क्या अगर बड़े बड़े काम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं.
बड़े बड़े काम करने की कोशिश. क्या बड़े काम कर रही है तू फालतू नहीं.
हाँ बस वो हालतू बाबा जैसे आज का टॉपिक है क्या घमासान टॉपिक है.
घमासान टॉपिक.
हाँ,
ये काफी
exactly
दिनों से
ऐसा.
वर्किंग है हमारा.
हाँ
ये काफी दिनों से वर्किंग है.
रिसर्च मारा हम लोगों ने.
हाँ
2 हफ्ते लग गए हमें.
नहीं एक्चुअली नो 2 हफ्ते से ज्यादा हो गए फातू. तेरे को याद है हम लोग जब हम कर रहे थे वो अशोका का 9 यू नो कृत ना. तब से मेरे दिमाग में अटका पड़ा था कि क्या हो रहा है.
करेक्ट.
लेकिन क्या हो रहा है कि ज्यादा एक्चुअली व्हाई नॉट हाउ कम वी हैवंट टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस एट ऑल.
करेक्ट.
How many of you know about this particular thing which is called as it's a mystical mystery of India.
इंडिया.
हाँ भारत का ही. इंडिया मतलब of course बात है. You know that nowadays please don't stop saying India. You can just say Bharat.
भारत.
Yes, it is Bharat. Even our foreign minister also says that thing. He says this is the Republic of India. That is Bharat.
Oh wow.
He started the rhetoric already started already.
Wow.
You know what I told you a few years ago?
Right.
What?
That it'll be Bharat. Akhanda Bharat.
Uh-huh.
Yes, of course.
As in the
As
place where the sun rises.
Ah.
Right? The rising sun, land of the rising sun.
Huh.
So don't worry, but there's not anything to do with any kind of fanatism around here. But still, the thing is, the culture of the land is what we're talking about, which ages goes back in time, right?
Correct.
Well, actually, आज के ज़माने में जो भी आप देखते हो अलग बात है, but you know we say that सनातन धर्म जो होती है ना, it is not a religion, it's a way of life, right? And actually, हाँ देखा जाए तो हमारा mystery is still there for us as Indians. Indian origin. How many of us know about it, right? Ashoka का जो हमने पढ़ा था school books में, they never talked about this element of the scholar of Ashoka.
Correct.
All we learnt about was the Mughal empires.
Correct.
Little bit about the Chandragupta Maurya, Cholas and everything. But majority of them was of the guy called Aurangzeb. Ashoka, not Ashoka also actually. We actually learned about Gautam Buddha. The religious movement is what we learnt about, and that was actually the 12th century. उसके आगे हमें स्कूल में कहाँ पढ़ाई मिला यार. I don't think so. आज के ज़माने में schools में I don't know. Faltan, do you know any insight on what happens in schools nowadays? Indian school, Indian, not here. Here तो of course तो मालूम होगा.
I don't know आलतू बाबा. मेरे को कैसे मालूम होगा. मैं थोड़ी ना इंडियन स्कूल्स में हूँ. मैं तो अमेरिका में बैठी हूँ. I'm sitting here.
थोड़ी ही हूँ.
And I have no idea what the
कितना humble है फादर ने.
Yeah, so I have no idea आलतू बाबा what goes on in the schools. लेकिन एक चीज है जब हम when we posted आप सोच रहे होंगे when we said Eternals, right? आप सोचेंगे कोई वो क्या है what is that group Marvel का कोई production होगा या कोई बड़ा सा मतलब you know it'll be some movie which is the Eternals, the gods, the immortal people who don't die at all. They've come from different planets and all that.
Yes.
Well, you could possibly be thinking that. Well, you know what? Even before Marvel, I think Marvel is hugely inspired by.
Well, let's be honest
Indian,
about it. Yeah, let's be honest. Not only Marvel, I think the storytelling itself, right? It's such a huge field, right? It's a huge thing, right? Folklore.
Correct.
It comes from the folks, right? Now, today we have a very interesting theme for you guys. उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. और उससे पहले आपको बता दें कि ये folklore जो है, which of course, if you don't know about the Banjan, me and Faltwani are students of folklore.
Yeah.
Because growing up, Faltwani, we were exposed to a person like Mahima ji who was actually totally into sharing knowledge through oral tradition, right? जो actually Indian tradition का था वही ना. Indian tradition was oral tradition. We never learned through like books.
Yeah.
It was always through something reciting and making sure memory is strong, right?
Right.
तो आज हम लोग ना what we're bringing to you guys is a mystical mystery Mondays.
Yeah.
And it's something to do with the storytelling of what we see nowadays in all the Hollywood movies, right? Eternals, immortals, gods, goddesses, all those things, right?
Demigod,
all those things. लेकिन आज हमारा theme है the immortals of India.
The immortals of India. Wow.
Yeah, the immortals of India. Yeah, हमारे में भी हमारे कल्चर में भी इसकी जिक्र हुई है. काफी डिटेल्स में जिक्र हुई है. And of course, if you say pop culture जो होती है, definitely inspired by the previous culture. So most of pop culture, if you see movies, the movies which are mind-bending movies, maybe Interstellar, which talks about going through a black hole and coming into existence of multiple parallel universe. Even the concept of parallel universe, that also is something which is there in our culture, right? We talked about उसके बारे में हमने काफी सारी बात भी की थी कि how it actually has taken shape, right? So Faltani is trying to do something. She's going out of frame.
I'm trying to see that if there's a portal opening up, so I can go to the different universe. Oh my God, I find that very, very because I've recently been with great difficulty. I've been watching that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I never get to complete the movie, and then I have to go back.
It's a little bit too complicated for you, though.
No, but I fall asleep half the time.
Yeah, because it's a bit complicated for you,
right? It's complicated, and I have to go back and watch again.
Do you know why it's complicated for you?
Because it's too abstract.
It's not abstract. Abstract is okay. It is abstract. Understandable. It is abstract. But the point is, I think we have got so used to the storytelling of one dimension. We can't think beyond the dimension.
I know, but I'm like, if you don't watch it at a stretch, and then you have to keep going back and watching, it kind of gets confusing. Just like what we're going to talk about today.
Today, actually, what we're doing is, actually, Faltani, you brought a very good point. It might be difficult for people to understand today's topic.
And you might wonder, why are we talking about it as Mystery Mondays instead of Mystical Mondays?
Yeah.
It is. It might seem mystical, but actually... If we've talked about the Ram Setu, right?
Correct, we did.
There is evidence, there is historical evidence and proof that there was a bridge that was built, right?
Yeah.
Or there is some kind of a man-made structure there, right? So obviously there is proof, and then they found archaeological remains of Mathura, right? There is proof of that. There is proof of the fact that Kurukshetra contains atomic particles, right?
Point.
There is proof of that. There is proof that that there could possibly have been a war, so that there could have been a Mahabharata.
And they have found the Dwarka, which actually was underwater.
Correct,
right?
The Dwarka. Correct.
Dwarka was found.
Yeah.
Like how there still is speculation about Atlantis.
Yeah.
Atlantis has not been found, by the way.
Yeah.
But Dwarka has been found underwater.
Correct.
Yahan tak ki they were able to also connect back to the particular scriptures where they even found Rukmini's makeup kit.
Oh wow!
Yeah, where the atta was still in preservation.
Right.
In the particular bottle which they had.
Correct.
So ये सब कुछ था है और.
So if all this is true, then there is a very high likelihood that the characters that have been talked about, or the people or the personas that have been talked about, possibly existed or continue to exist. So that is the reason we're doing this as a Mystery Monday, as not just a mystical Monday, but there are certain characters and certain figures from the history, the mysterious history of India, or Bharat, that we will be uncovering today, which is why we are talking about the immortals.
Yes, Padajan. This is the 8 immortals, a story of the 8 immortals, or which actually also can be called as the Ashtachiranjeevis.
Right.
Now you will see in many of, अगर आप हमारे हिंदू धर्म में जो यज्ञ वग्नि होती है ना फाल्तुरानी, when they do these auspicious things and all, right, they invoke certain things.
Correct.
Have you noticed they actually recite something called Ashtachiranjeevis, they call them?
No.
वो मंत्र में आता है.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about that.
Wow,
we also will talk about a little bit about not like talk about. We'll see. We are what are we? Altu faltu.
Right.
Altu faltu का perspective लेना बहुत important है. हम भले expert ना हो, expert की तरफ हम लोग point भी कर सकते हैं, right?
Correct.
Right. So actually there are 8 immortals as per our history, you might call it, और पुराणों के हिसाब से. पुराण जो होती है हमारा stories of the past, right? Some of the big Purans are what? Ramayana.
Mahabharata.
And who is the person who authored them both?
Who authored them?
Who's credited for writing it, or rather, who's reciting it?
What do you mean? Who's credited for transcribing it? That's what you mean. That is Ganesh ji.
No, who was the person who recited it?
Who recited it?
Who is the author of Mahabharata, Faltani?
What, Altu Baba?
Who compiled the Vedas?
The Vedas is very different from Ramayana.
Who
okay?
compiled the Vedas? Don't try to argue with me. This thing. We don't even
Vyasa.
know. Exactly. Not Veda Vyasa. His name is Vyasa. Vyasa Maharishi. He was called Veda Vyasa because he had the Vedas. So basically, here's the story, Faltwani. It's very interesting, you know. I believe Pralaya. Okay, not I believe. So let's say this. There is a saying that Pralaya happens every so many years.
What is Pralaya?
The whole creation,
Recreates.
formation of creation, growth of creation, destruction, then again creation, then destruction, right? You see that?
Well, for those of you who don't know what that is, Bandhujan, if this seems too abstract for
Yes,
you,
yes, please, please.
there is belief that everything that is in existence right now gets recreated. I mean, it's the cycle, right? Where everything comes to an end, everything is washed away, and then there's only certain beings that will continue, or certain things that will continue, and that will life is regenerated all over again. And, you know, so goes the cycle of life. Or the circle of life. You keep going on and on and on and on, and that's what they say. I mean, pretty exhausting, right? I don't
Well,
know.
actually, that's the thing, right? So it is exhausting when it is just the thing, but the whole concept of creation, destruction. अगर आप देखा जाए तो हमारे यहाँ पे we have the Trinity, right?
Yeah.
जो Trinity हैं हमारे, right? The people. What are Trinity? Let's ask our bandhus. Trinity. How about that?
Okay,
No.
ask.
We can ask our bandhus.
Ask,
Bandhus,
but-
आप बताइए, can you tell us the Trinity according to the Hindu, let's say philosophy, right? Or Sanatana philosophy. We don't say Hindu also. Hindus don't even know the words they use, right? What are the Trinities? Can you give us a call here? Number to call here is 408-832-8881. The lines are open for you to call here. And first of all, let's go welcome all our bandhus on Facebook. Join us right now. Meenakshi ji, namaste. कैसे हैं आप? Namaste Deepa ji, कैसे हैं आप? And of course, oh my God, somebody got Kavita. Namaste, कैसे हैं आप? Oh my God, hello to you too. And Vishal ji, namaste, कैसे हैं आप?
Acha.
क्या
So,
smile मारी? You know the person, is it?
yes.
Oh my
Very nice, intelligent, pretty, kind, sweet.
मेरे बारे में बात मत कर तू.
मैं अपने बारे में बात कर रही हूँ. तू कविता है क्या? Random fellow.
कविता क्यों नहीं हो सकता मैं?
अच्छा, तो बदीजन मैं आपको बता दूं कि आज ओके ये जो भी बोले ट्रिनिटीज विनिटीज डोंट गेट caught up in all
I
that.
wanted to get caught up with that because it's very important to understand this. Faltu.
No. Altu Baba, you're going into a different way. We're talking about mystery. Will you stop with the start
Okay,
with the
fine.
mystery?
Let me finish up. The people you're saying people don't know how thing. So, but the Trinity, मतलब Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, right? Destruction, creation, and preservation. Preservation Vishnu जी है. तो विष्णु जी आते हैं हमारे हर एक क्रिएशन में, वो आते हैं ताकि वो चलाएं, राइट? चलाने के बाद सब डिस्ट्रक्शन हो जाता है. The reason this फालतू, you know why?
Why?
जब ये चिरंजीवी की बात होती है, इनका मुलाकात होती है जो
इनकी जो मुलाकात होती है।
इनकी जो मुलाकात होती है,
हाँ.
इन तीनों में से दो लोगों के साथ डेफिनेटली होती है.
Oh,
Connection.
really?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. So I'll tell you about this Banjan because many of them also have the stories. I'm talking stories, okay? ये नहीं कि मुझे 100% मालूम है. ये सब stories है जो मैं यहाँ वहाँ पढ़ता हूँ, तू भी पढ़ती है, तेरे friends होते हैं जो आपको तेरे को share करते हैं ना, वो सब होते हैं ना, like that. So I'm talking about the story, folklore going around for that, right? So most of the Chiranjeevis actually have a connection to it. But one of the main person who I want to start off with, people don't know about. So first of all, let's talk about the 8. Do you want to talk about those 8 people? Because हम लोग focus करेंगे आज probably 2 people पे.
Okay,
right?
for
2
those of
folks.
you who are not familiar, there are supposed to be 8 individuals who are called the Eternals, which basically means that they will never perish. So they are beyond human form. They are beyond matter, human, like so whether they exist in the form of energy, what type of energy, whether they exist in the form of nothing, actually all the elements cannot harm them. Is that correct?
So
And the
you're
elements
right. So
they cannot be burned, they cannot be
they break the cycle of karma.
Yeah.
Supposedly, okay. So now here's the thing. This is also one thing we should understand is our culture, which is the Sanatana culture, is a lot of symbolism in it. So जब हम लोग we should be very careful when we talk about these kind of concepts of immortality. It is a symbol, right? And all these people stand for certain virtues. Why I talked about the fact that when you do the rituals and traditions and all, right, they talk about these people, right? यहाँ तक कि इन 8 जो चिरंजीवी हैं उनके जो persona है, that is what we worship and we live up to those things. इन 8 में से कुछ ऐसे भी हैं जिनको वर्ग के हिसाब से नहीं मिला चिरंजीवी. Like people, they were not. It was not a boon given to them, but some people, especially one of them, it was more of a curse. We'll talk about that for sure. We'll come back and talk to you guys about that. But we'll start off today with the main person, who is Vyasa, right? Vyasa is considered to be the person who authored the Mahabharata. Right? And yeah, there's also talk about Vyasa Maharshi was not the person who wrote it. It was authored by him, yes. And do you know who wrote the Ramayana, Faltwani?
Get to the point, Altu Baba. Vyasa, is Valmiki also Chiranjeevi?
Valmiki was not a Chiranjeevi. That's what I'm trying to get at. So Vyasa is considered to be a Chiranjeevi.
Okay.
Because he was the person who created. So and he is a person. Vyasa also was a great scholar. He was the person who authored Mahabharata, and he was the person who wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. If you know one of the great Puranas of ours, right? And his immortality is in terms of wisdom. Right? And he is the Katha Vachak of the holy texts.
When you say Katha Vachak, he is so basically, for those of you who may not be familiar, he is the person who carries on the tradition of telling the story.
Yeah. So he represents what we call as the eternal knowledge. Right? तो उनका जो आप चिरंजीवी अष्ट चिरंजीवी में उनका नाम क्यों आता है? क्योंकि it is about the fact that a whole creation will live on forever with wisdom. So he was credited with that kind of a thing. So unka jo mortality hai is that they say he live forever as long as Mahima ji कहती थी ना, जब you will live, people live in people's thoughts. That's the same concept of immortality. So you're living your presence in this because of the people's thoughts. So his work is still present even now. आज भी हम लोग maybe different work we see Mahabharata on television, but you should never forget that that was the concept of the concept of immortality with our culture. It is not like somebody living forever, like vampire sucking our blood or whatever. It is not that. It is just that they are the ones who are existence, because existence is not physical, no Faltwani. We understand. That's why I was trying to say that you have actually graduated further down. So further up actually, because existence is not, when you watch the movie of Everything Everywhere, it is not a physical existence. Yeah, it is actually goes beyond what do you call that? What's the right English word to use? It is metaphysical. It is not just physical, right? So if you look at that, the immortal concept of the immortals which we have, the 8 immortals, it is actually a metaphysical concept. You got to think beyond just imagining the fact that not the person like Vyasa is still around somewhere in some jungle meditating is not right. It's a collective knowledge.
So is it just knowledge?
Again, if you say just knowledge, aren't you sliding?
I mean, is it their legacy of information, or are they supposed to be present through, through time? Are they existent as personas? Because if you say Chiranjeevi, it basically means the never-ending life.
Chiram is what? Chiram?
Never-ending.
Never-ending.
Yeah. Jeevi is?
Living.
Okay.
Now again, if you understand living, what is living? You got to go deeper into that. Understanding what is living. Is your physical presence living, or is your living itself, is it a thought?
What?
Yeah. Is your existence because you exist in a physical matter, or is it existence because you are there in my mind as a physical matter?
This is mind-boggling Mondays.
That's
not
wise a bubble on my head here.
Yeah, that's not Mystery Mondays. It's mind-boggling Mondays.
Huh?
Well, yeah. Because I can't understand what you're trying to say, Altubaba. So are you saying, okay, let me understand this. You're saying Veda Vyasa is considered. So there are 8 such what do you call them? Entities? Or do you call them? I thought they're actually people. They have taken the form.
You're right.
Form,
you're right.
And they transcend life and death.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're there. You're on it. Yes,
they
go on.
They transcend life and death, and they continue to exist.
Correct.
But not, you're saying it's not in the form that you and I understand as existence.
Correct. Okay, here's the thing. So about so there's a very interesting thing. Okay, talking about wisdom, Fatwani. When I say Vyasa, why I spoke of Vyasa, the first person of the 8 people, why I took him, right? He was a person who defined immortality to people. In one of his shastras, what is written? He says, achieving immortality, right? It says that if you follow the path of dharma, which is righteousness, which we understand righteousness. Let me also say that thing, dharma, what I understand dharma can be different what Falta understand dharma. It's fine, it's okay. But it's a path. It's considered to be a path. Living in accordance with the path, right? That you cultivate some gunas, qualities, right? By trying to be right, following the righteous path, you obtain gunas and qualities, which you will become more like that of a godly being, a divine being. Where you reach a state, you're no longer subject to the laws of karma or reincarnation. So otherwise you transcend by living with the flow of nature. That's how I will look at it as. To my understanding is, if you live according to dharma, like how it's supposed to be done, you will give up, you will not fall into the loop of karma, because we understand karma as whatever you do comes back to you, right? So if you're able to do something which is not your own will of doing, but is the will of the collective, you're able to actually transcend that thing. That's what happened to them. So if you look at going by his definition is where we see a lot of storytelling. In fact, उनकी own रचयिता, उनका जो creation था महाभारत में, उन्होंने एक ऐसी चिरंजीवी की बात की जिसके बारे में हम लोग जाएंगे भी. Because that was the person who got the immortality, not because something, but because something else. Not because this virtue, but that person got it. Chiranjeevi became a Chiranjeevi because of something else, not by the path. What I'm trying to tell you is, everything you read need not be true. That's a humility, right? And also, everything you read could guide you to something else. अगर हमारे व्यास जी ने बताया था, the Mahamuni Vyas, he had written, right? He had talked about the fact that for one to be Chiranjeevi, you have to follow the righteous path. But I just not talked about a person in his own story, उनके खुद के story में, जो कृष्ण जी ने किसी को immortal बनाया, not because the virtue, because something else. उसके बारे में बात करेंगे हम लोग.
Okay.
That's mystery though. So the thing is, here, how did this come up? Do we think, like Faltoni's question is very, very pertinent. मेरे दिमाग में अभी भी थोड़ी देर पहले था कि what was the thing when I was reading it a few months ago. But then I realized, okay, that is the thing, right? Existence does not have to be in physical form. जो हमें one dimension, हमारे dimension is touch, right? We have the touch dimension. It need not be that physical formation of somebody who is doing. Because एक और चिरंजीवी जो world famous है, popular से popular है, कौन मालूम है?
कौन है?
बजरंगबली.
हाँ.
हनुमान जी चिरंजीवी है.
हाँ.
उनका स्टोरी अलग है, उनके बारे में हम लोग बात करेंगे. लेकिन अभी हम लोग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं 8 चिरंजीवियों में. एक आई पिक्ड अप व्यासा जी बिकॉज आई फील व्यासा इज समबडी वी हैव टू स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट टू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट चिरंजीवी, बिकॉज उन्होंने उनके स्टेटमेंट में ये है कि व्हाट मेक्स चिरंजीवी.
What makes somebody see, if you look at it from a very from a very ignoramus level, यानी कि जो very plain everyday person kind of level, you're saying that that they don't need to be existent, they leave a legacy behind.
See, when you say existent, you're talking about destruction, right? It's not that, right? It's not legacy behind also. Okay. It is like, I think it's to me, the way I see Vyasa's writing about the thing is a glimmer of hope for a normal human, day-to-day human like you or me, Fatwani, to feel that, okay, we can attain immortality, right? By following the path. What is the path? Biggest question.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he says you can transcend the limitation of physical existence, which was the story, if you notice, connecting back to a Hollywood movie called Interstellar, where he transcends. Okay, they say he goes to the wormhole, he goes to the black hole, blah, 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 and everything, but he transcends. That's when he lives on. When he comes back to this particular physical world of Earth, he has transcended so many 50, 60 years. And he comes back in the same way he was. Right? and then he goes back again into that thing because he has attained awareness.
I haven't seen the movie, so
Don't, if you see it, you confuse first. Actually speaking, no, the movie which you have to see to understand immortality is that movie, and also the movie which you're trying to see right now. That is that Everything Everywhere at Once, right? That's all about the moment, Faltwani.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to think too much. I think you tuned out, or I lost you somewhere, right? Was I too technical, Fatwani? I happens.
Yes, let us talk about our Chiranjeevis today, please.
Yes, I was talking about Vyasa.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is there proof that Vyasa was a Chiranjeevi? Let's talk about the mystery, Altubaba. The mystery. Uncover it for us.
Well, okay, here's the thing. So let me go backwards, right now. First of all, the concept of mortality, according to our Vyasaji, right? People might call it mythology or what. I don't call it mythology. I call it our history because it's documented. Unka to scriptures jo hai abhi bhi hai, and luckily Indian government doing a good job preserving those things for us, right? It's a reminder that life is beyond just seeing and touching. It's beyond sight and touch.
Okay.
And that there is hope for the future.
Okay.
We can be larger than ourselves is what the concept is.
Okay.
Expanding our sense of perception from just us to many people. I don't know. I think it's the reason I want to talk about this is because I really find that when we talked about Vyasa is still now, even now, invoked when you actually do mantras, when you do homas and everything, right? And yes, it is said that he is in existence. In some dimension, a dimension which you might call spirituality could be the fact that he's still there, even listing right now in a different dimension. Now, to understand dimensions, if you watch the movie Interstellar, you understand what dimension is. He was in the dimension where his daughter was able to communicate with him. He was able to communicate with his daughter through inspiration. They tried to show a physical book being moved in the shelf and everything, but different issue. But the point is, he was always there. So, even now, you might say they have transcended the realm of time to be able to see things the way, in a different way, because we are in, people in 2 dimension, Fadwani, cannot see 3rd dimension.
And people in 3 dimension cannot see the 4th dimension.
But they can see 3 dimensions. People in 3rd dimension can see the 2 dimension clearly.
Correct.
All aspects.
Right.
If a 2 dimension being of X, Y can see Y, cannot see X. But a 3rd dimension can see that, right? So if you transcend from our 3rd dimension to a next dimension level, could be 4th or 5th or 6th or whatever, I don't know how many dimensions there, right? So basically you actually transcend the limitations of time, which is a man-made construct, right? And you transcend the limitations of physicality, that is the physical realm. So I strongly believe that the immortals we talk about probably are already in existence. Is there proof to it? I don't know how to prove it. Is this concept of jano ya mano? Maine maan liya.
Well, according to Hindu or Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana itself means never ending, right? The one that keeps going on and on. It is believed that, that there have been there are cycles of time, right? So you have different ages or eras that you call. We had the different yugas, right? And what is each yuga? A yuga basically is a span of time. So in Hindu or Sanatana Dharma, it is believed that it is this particular age of time when generations pass, okay? A period of time where which kind of, like how we have month, year, like that. A yuga is one such a span of time. So there were different yugas, and the one is of course the Krita Yuga, which is basically the Satya Yuga, right?
Okay.
And then you have the Treta Yuga, then you have the Dwapara Yuga, and you have the Kali Yuga. And in each yuga, they believe that one of the each of, like Alto Baba talked about, the Trinity, which is the different forces of nature, as you may call it, or the different elemental forces, or probably the cosmic forces came into play. Like we all know, even if you go into science, you look at the Big Bang Theory, right? Like we had explained one time, if you remember, we talked about in Mystery Mondays about was it in Mystery Mondays, Alto Baba, where we talked about the how the Big Bang could be explained. With regard to the explosion that happened when Shiva and Parvati, we talked about that one.
Yeah, there was one story, right?
But there was just one way that human mind, that the story was told so that the human mind can comprehend at our level, because it's beyond our imagination and it's beyond our capability to comprehend, right? So if there is something that we absolutely have not seen, how is it possible for us to be able to see it?
That's true.
Or grasp it, even if it's something that's so we think mind-boggling. Mind बोले तो ये mind तो अपने impression से बना है, right? जो हम लोग देखते हैं हमारे रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में जो देखते हैं, and some people believe, how do people remember things from a previous birth? Those are impressions that have carried on, and it hasn't zeroed out, so it comes back. Some of that is so deep rooted that it comes back in your. We've even talked about the mystery of reincarnation, right?
Correct. That's how we started off, right?
That's how our Mystery Monday started off. You remember Lugdi Devi? Lugdi. Remember that? That's how we started off. So, this is something that we kept digging deeper into to find out. So, there are different yugas, and in each yuga, there is these forces of nature that come in when things get to a point. And it almost seems to me, let's put it this way, okay? To me, it almost seems like man is being given an opportunity over and over and over and over again to get things right. That's what I feel.
But
so in Satya Yuga, they come to a point where when they start from scratch, they build up, everything is great, things are going great, and then when things are going great, there's also stuff that we overthink, over deliver, we kind of start to begin to sabotage ourselves, and that is when you need to clean house. And then you need somebody who comes in, and that they, what we believe are like the incarnations of Lord Vishnu, whom we call as the protector. It is a feel-good feeling to know that, he's the in Christianity, this is second coming of Christ, right? So there will be somebody in Islam, you have another prophet who will come, right? That kind of thing. So you have different, everybody has their way of understanding the world and their way of reaffirming and reassuring themselves ki, okay, there is something that's going to come out of this. So, and I think, so the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, so then again, everything gets wiped out, annihilated, for example, and then something else happens. Even now they say the apocalypse is coming. The apocalypse is coming. Some of us say, Kali Yuga. So there's going to be the huge, where the world gets submerged with waters. But if you actually think about it, kind of is happening on a global scale. What is global warming? The water levels are rising across the board.
Very simple is the creation of the modern day toilet. The stupid junk you use, you flush it. It cleans up the whole thing.
Oh God, my God. Okay, anyway, so what I think is for each, so they wanted to maintain some kind of continuity for people. This is my very, very limited understanding. I think so, for people to know where to start and how to go, and actually possibly decide at what point things are getting beyond control. I think the Chiranjeevis came into existence.
Came into existence, but the thing is, for Loka Kalyan, for the whole world to learn from these people. So if you look at all the Chiranjeevis have some virtue to talk about. Vyasa I just talked about, wisdom is one of the virtues of that. But then again, there are some people who are, what's the word for somebody who doesn't have any virtue, Faltwani, who is unworthy or...
No, we can't.
Not right. No, you should understand this. It's not always one way.
Okay.
It's not the humility lies in understanding that it's not all just one way. To be the righteous world, blah blah blah. If you're Chiranjeevi, you're supposed to be the best of the bestest of people. No, I will jump to the extreme right now. If you say Vyasa is one such person, I think we have somebody already posted on our social media there. Meenakshi ji said Ashwathama. उन्होंने बता दिया, आपने कॉल क्यों नहीं कर रहे हो? कॉल करो, और कॉल करके बताओ हमें कि उसके बारे में, if you want to. So definitely call up and tell us if you know the story of Ashwathama. We'd love to hear from you itself, Meenakshi ji और दीपा जी, who's saying, अरे hello, talk about mystery not history.
ये बहुत देर पहले बोला उसने.
हाँ, लेकिन दीपा जी समझेगा, without history there is no mystery. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about the history to establish the mystery, right? If I ask you now, आप अपने आप को शांत नहीं भुलाते हो दीपा जी, मैं अगर आप फोन करोगे तो नहीं करोगे, I know you'll not call you because I can ask you questions you don't know answers about. That's the sad part about the state of Sanatani right now. A person who claims to be of a Hindu origin, right? So we still don't know. So everything is a mystery for us, right? So but anyway, the idea of our show is to make sure we can get you guys thinking about us and go, if you want to go Google. Understand more about it, that'll be great. Okay, but Faltani, आगे बढ़ते हैं. I want to talk about the next person. How about that? Can we go to next?
You started talking about Ashwathama.
Ashwathama, I thought we can leave it to Meenakshi to give us a call and tell us about it, right?
Okay.
Because Ashwathama is a very unique thing where let me jump into it. Okay, Ashwathama is one person who attained immortality, not as a blessing.
Okay.
And he had no virtues to be like a symbol, like to that the whole world has to learn from. But he was given this particular thing as a curse. मैं बता दूं कि wait करें.
आपको कॉल करना है 408-832-8881 पे. बंधुजान जो भी जानते हैं who Ashwathama is, and what was it a boon or a curse, and how did that come about? क्या आप जानते हो? And why is he regarded a Chiranjeevi? आपको कॉल करना है 408-832-8881. Again 408-832-8881. इस नंबर पे आपको जल्दी कॉल करना है और हमारे साथ यहाँ पे शेयर करना है.
But before we go into Ashwathama, how about we go into the next person who we want to talk about?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Once again, my screen is totally messed up. There you go. So next person we talk about right now, who is considered to be another Chiranjeevi, and that person is Kripacharya.
Kripacharya.
Father, you know a little bit story about Kripacharya. You want to share with the bandhus?
No, I don't.
No, anyway, but we have somebody calling us right now. उठाएंगे फोन उनका, बात करेंगे उनसे. You don't know about Kripacharya, Father? Oh my God.
I don't.
नमस्ते, कैसे हैं आप? मीनाक्षी जी, welcome.
पैम
कैसे हैं आप?
मैं एकदम अच्छी हूँ. आप दोनों कैसे हैं?
फर्स्ट क्लास. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर कॉलिंग इन. तो बताइए, आप तो ऑलरेडी पोस्ट कर दिया कि अश्वत्थामा, तो व्हाई डोंट वी डू, विल जंप टू अश्वत्थामा इटसेल्फ. बट आप बताइए अश्वत्थामा के बारे में आपका क्या स्टोरी है जो पढ़ा है आपने, या व्हिच नो अबाउट, यू वांट टू शेयर विद अस.
तो अश्वत्थामा महाभारत से मुझे जहाँ तक पता है कि महाभारत में एक पात्र थे, पात्र द्रोणाचार्य के पुत्र थे वो. तो उन्होंने युद्ध के दौरान शक्ति का उपयोग किया था अर्जुन को मारने के लिए, इस तरह का कुछ था. तो कृष्ण ने वो शक्ति रोक दी थी, लेकिन वो शक्ति का जो बाण था वो वापस नहीं जा सकता था, तो उसको कहीं तो चलाना था. तो उन्होंने क्या करा था, जो अभिमन्यु की पत्नी थी, जो कृष्ण की बहन थी, उनके ऊपर वो चला दिया था. तो उनका, वो गर्भवती थी, तो उनका बच्चा नहीं रहा था वो शक्ति का बाण चलाने से. उसके बाद गुस्से में कृष्ण ने उन्हें श्राप दिया था. उनके पास शायद मणि भी थी माथे पर, जहां तक मैं रिकॉल कर पा रही हूँ. तो उनसे वो मणि ले ली थी और उनको श्राप दिया था कि आप हमेशा युगों तक आप चिरंजीवी हो जाओगे, इमॉर्टल हो जाओगे और ऐसे ही भटकते रहोगे.
देखो ये, तो ये हाउ डिड यू नो अबाउट दिस, व्हेन डिड यू नो अबाउट दिस, व्हेन डिड यू लर्न अबाउट दिस?
ये महाभारत में मैंने देखा है.
हाउ लॉन्ग बैक वाज इट?
रामायण में.
हाउ लॉन्ग बैक?
रामायण और महाभारत बचपन में देखी थी, तो वो याद है मुझे.
एक अश्वत्थामा के कैरेक्टर थे एंड ऑल द स्टफ, राइट? बट राइट नाउ फॉर सम रीजन अश्वत्थामा हैज सडनली Faltani, in this particular realm, he has risen in terms of story risen. Okay, now I want to tell you one thing over here. जो आपने जो बताया था, it's right. Parts and parcels of the particular story is right. Probably because the storytelling of Mahabharata on the television was in somebody's perspective. जिनके पर्सपेक्टिव में था तो उन्होंने इतना एम्फेसिस ना दिया हो probably. But if you look at Ashwatthama's story, it's very sad story basically. Ashwatthama's story आपने सही बताया था, he is son of Dronacharya, very true. Dronacharya also comes from very humble beginnings, right? तो वहाँ से स्टार्ट होती है. एंड अश्वत्थामा को जो देयर वाज नो बून फॉर हिम, बट ही डिड हैव अ पर्टिकुलर मनी, इट्स कॉल्ड स्वर्ण कमल, स्वर्ण समथिंग मनी, व्हिच इज एक्चुअली protects somebody from any kind of evil eyes or evil things. Protects the person. It's like a kavach. Think of it like a aura coming around him which protects him from all negative things. So the story behind this thing is more than Krishna getting angry. Krishna doesn't get angry actually. Krishna is supposed to be the cool dude, right? Krishna ji is not cool. But the thing is, the actions of Ashwatthama ji was something which was frowned upon, because जैसे आपने बताया था ना, जो before the war, do you know what leads to the war between Arjuna and Ashwatthama? आपको स्टोरी मालूम है मीनाक्षी जी?
उन दोनों के वॉर की?
हाँ, what do you know story why that war happened between the two of them? It was not the Kurukshetra war. हाँ, that's a mystery.
ऐसा कुछ था कि
नहीं,
क्योंकि उनके दोनों के गुरु ही द्रोणाचार्य थे, तो गुरुकुल में से उनका कुछ स्टार्ट हुआ था, उनका कुछ बेस्ट सक्सेसर बनना था, ऐसा कुछ होना था.
That is why it's a mystery. The question I asked for you was for Deepa ji to understand why history is important. It's not the mystery, okay? So the mystery over here, which kind of is still a mystery to many people, is what I have read in multiple places, multiple things. So even in the Mahabharata, the war was already fought. The war was fought, and we all know Pandavas, they won. ठीक है? So Pandavas won. There's only the after the war was won is when Ashwatthama was very bitter. He was resentful. तो उन्होंने क्या किया? He went into the camp of the Pandavas. He went into a tent where he thought the Pandavas were asleep. And he went and he chopped off the heads of the people sleeping there, thinking they were the Pandavas. The sad part about Ashwatthama is he was so much engrossed in that particular the rage and the resentment that he went and did this. But unfortunately, those are the 5 kids of Draupadi. That's what nobody talked about it, right? People don't know about that part, right? The Draupadi the 5 princes of Pandavas who are supposed to be sleeping there, he goes, beheads all of them and comes back to the camp and says, hey, I killed all the Pandavas. He doesn't know that. So once he realizes this thing, and actually he attacks the particular camp when they're sleeping. The war is won. Krishna would have taken the Pandavas out someplace. Knowing that Krishna knew everything, he did it on purpose, of course. That's a different issue. But the thing is, he comes back to the thing, he says, and when he realizes that particular, the heads he's beheaded and brought are not the Pandavas, is when the Pandavas come chasing after him and they hear about this, and he runs into Sharan of Vyasa Maharshi.
No, it's also actually, it's not just that he goes to Vyasa Maharshi for protecting him. What he actually does is he knows that these are the Upa Pandavas, right? They were called, and he realizes कि मैंने ये क्या कर दिया, because he is overcome by emotion, right? Because his father dies, Dronacharya drops his weapons because Krishna has Dharmaraja, which is Yudhishthira announced, right? Ashwatthamo Hatakun. Instead of the Kunjara, that time he blows that thing. So he thinks that his father has been cheated into his death. So that the grief drove him to go commit such a heinous act by when you're not supposed to go attack people after sundown. So ye jaake redemption ke liye he goes to Vyasa Maharshi ki how do I cleanse myself of this sin? That time Krishna and the Pandavas return, and they immediately they go to attack him, even in Vyasa's ashram. At that time it seems there is something called a Brahma Shirastra. Okay, this is supposed to be this blade of grass. Usme se you can invoke this particular weapon, which will protect you, but it is a very dangerous weapon which you direct towards your enemy, and basically anybody that it's directed against, it will wipe out, annihilate that entire segment of earth or population or whoever. So ये जो ब्रह्मशिरास्त्र इसने इन्वोक किया against Arjuna and the Pandavas. So immediately what Lord Krishna did was, because he saw that, he immediately told Arjuna, you are also trained by the same Dronacharya. You also know how to invoke the Brahmashirastra, so invoke it to protect yourself. Now the only thing that can happen is the two Brahmashirastras would clash, right? And then it'll cause if the two of them clash, then it'll completely annihilate in an untimely manner all of existence. It's like your nuclear bomb. So going off. So tab it seems when he did that, it started going. Then Vyasa said, no, it's not a good idea, because it everybody is is going to be wiped out. This is not the way it's supposed to be, because Vyasa was the person who has seen something happen before, right? So he apparently says, don't call it back. At that time, Arjuna knew how to call it back. You can revoke what you have invoked. But
because that was actually given to him as a training.
Yeah.
The sad part of Ashwathama is he was never trained in this thing.
Yeah, Ashwatthama didn't know how to take it back.
Yeah, and the thing about a warrior like a Yodha like Arjuna, why he was a Maha Yodha, was because a warrior is supposed to exercise restraint.
Yeah.
And jo aise restraint exercise karke, when he calls it back, he can invoke the Brahma Shirastra any number of times that he wants. But if Ashwathama, knowing his impulsive nature, his father never taught him to revoke it, because he thought, okay, if this guy ever invokes it, it should be done. He should not be able to do it again. So Ashwathama didn't know what to do. So he was not able to pull it back. So what he did was, गुस्से में तब उसने वो अभिमन्यु की जो बीवी थी उत्तरा, उसके वूम की तरफ भेज दिया, ताकि पांडवास का पूरा lineage wipe out हो जाए. परीक्षित जो बच्चा था, at that time he doesn't hit the womb. वो बच्चा मरता नहीं है. Actually Lord Krishna, it seems, he sends a Sudarshana Chakra to deviate that Brahmashirastra, and then he turns around and he tells Ashwathama कि तुमने जो किया है, and your intent is malintent. You did it out of adharma. You didn't do it out of, and you've been driven, and because you were driven by human mortal grief, mortal sins, and your mortal calling, you will not be rid of these mortal this mortal life ever. So you will continue to go through all this till Kali Yuga. So several yugas, that's a curse that he put on him. And जो money आपने बोला था, वो Shamantaka money, apparently that money is a protective money that was there on Ashwathama's forehead, which would prevent the person who's wearing it of any kind of disease and any kind of physical and mental affliction, जो हम लोग बोलते हैं कि जो रोग है. So at that, but it seems at that time Krishna said, you have to remove that money and you have to give it to me, because this is your curse and this is what's going to happen. So he had to remove it and give it. And the person, as soon as he removed it, supposedly they say that Ashwathama became rid with leprosy.
So the thing was, when you remove the money, the wound does not heal.
Yeah.
So here's one more symbolism right here. Mystery जो होती है ना, ये बताता हूँ आपको. ये नहीं है कि अश्वत्थामा ने जी ली यहाँ से, अभी भी जी रहे हैं. बहुत सारे sightings हो रही हैं, talking about different ways. They've seen him in different valleys. They say, I see a person with a wound on his forehead, blah blah blah. But the point is this, right? Symbolism की बात करते हैं हमारे सनातन धर्म में, right? The symbolism is Ashwathama, according to the Vyasa's thing, is supposed to meet Kalki. Kalki is supposed to meet Kalki in this yuga.
Yeah.
In other words, all the qualities which made him immortal are something which is there in the current world, Kali Yuga. If you look at it that way, the hate, the irsha you feel, the jealousy you feel,
the angst,
the blind killing of things, the merciless, the acts which are so bad in people, right?
The irresponsible use of expertise.
And of power.
Of power.
Or the when you don't know how to use the power, using the power. All those qualities are still there in the
Nepotism.
nepotism. Yeah. Oh, nepotism. One more thing I'll tell you about that. We'll talk about nepotism because unka ek aur cheez hai. All those things, if you look at it right, are still existent in this particular world. In this world. So if you ask me, he too is existent, not in terms of physicality, but in terms of the concepts and everything, right?
Yeah.
आपको लगता नहीं है?
Yes, true.
So whenever you look at somebody who actually who's driven by the particular vengeance or the hate or whatever it is, right? They actually are invoking the qualities of Ashwathama. That's a lesson for us to learn. And that's what happens when Kalki comes in finally. Kalki is the person who's going to destroy. Suppose the story is that, right? We'll talk more about that. वो भी mystery है. हमको मालूम नहीं है. काफी सारी चीजें पढ़ने के बाद ही मालूम होता है कि क्या क्या हो रहा है वहाँ पे, right? So that's one thing which I want. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing the thing about Ashwathama. I hope you know a little more and go Google more and understand more about it.
He's supposed to be in this yuga. He is known as Suryakanta, it seems.
Suryakanta.
And he will meet Kalki,
Yeah.
and then he gets his redemption. So
Yeah.
that is what Krishna has said. Lord Krishna has said that you will suffer through this, because wo money also protects the person from demons and the other dark.
Makes you wondering, Suryakanta, solar, flora flares. Does the world come to an end with solar flares?
You never know.
You never know. Is the sun going to consume the earth? You never know.
Yeah.
Is the sun going to melt all the ice away? You never know.
That's
Is
what's
solar power
happening.
going to be bad for us?
Solar power is not going to be back for us, whatever.
I don't know, man. Just
So, I mean, it's symbolism, right? It's the way you understand it. But they do say that this is, I mean, immortality is not necessarily a gift.
Yeah.
Not a boon.
Yeah.
The way
Yes.
Lord Krishna explained it, he explained the eternal life and the immortal life as being one where he suffers through the consequences of his actions.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he says karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, he says, I don't worry about the fruit of your actions, I will take care of it.
Yeah, but actually, if you look at it, right, of all the villains portrayed in Mahabharata,
Yeah.
there's a reason for us to understand this also is they all died, but
Yeah.
they all reached heaven.
Yeah,
Ashwathama was the only one who left over here.
yeah.
For what
Oh, yes.
reason, I don't know. For unfortunate, whatever you call it, right? He still, there's a reason for him to be existent. And देखा जाए तो हम सब में एक Ashwathama है कहीं पे तो.
Well, actually, बुरा लगता है क्योंकि he was a fierce loyalist.
He was.
He was also like, it's very tragic, yeah, poor thing. Itne bade, he was also a skilled warrior.
He was skilled warrior. He was a loving son.
Yeah.
And his rage also came because of that. But again, the thing is, that's why they say, right, there's no good and bad in the world. There is some reason for everything.
Huh.
This probably was a reason for us to understand, learn about it, right? And I still feel when you talk about immortals, we still are thinking in terms of somebody has physical existence. Probably yes, probably no. We don't know. There still might be somebody, a frail guy sitting out there and doing japa. Because the person we talk about next before we close out the show is going to be somebody who is the uncle of Ashwathama.
अश्वत्थामा
हाँ, उनके जो अंकल है, इसीलिए हमने नेपोटिज्म बोला क्योंकि उनके फैमिली में चिरंजीवी है.
दो ही हैं.
हाँ.
But still.
Yeah.
But nepotism comes into
कृपाचार्य
Kripacharya, exactly.
Kripacharya, correct.
Kripacharya happens to be Mama, as in mother Kripi. Brother was Kripacharya, who also was a guru, great guru. So one is Vyasaji who has wisdom. Kripacharya has existence because of the fact that knowledge transfer ki baat karte hain. Because Kripacharya was the person who trained all the yodhas, and also to the point of he was the person who trained him Parikshit, who actually was supposed to be was targeted by the Brahmastra, but was not. So the last heir of the Arjuna was Parikshit, who survived, and he was trained by Kripacharya himself. So they say that he transcended also. And again, concept Kripacharya आ जाएगा, जिसको खत्म करते बाद में we'll end the show. But Meenakshi, thank you so much. Sorry आपको ऑन रख के हमने इतना बात किया. अच्छा लगा कि आपसे बात करते हुए.
आपको कैसे लग रहा है आज का शो?
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा और आपने जब सारा बताया है स्टोरी फालतू रानी तो आई कैन रिकॉल लाइक महाभारत में जो बी.आर. चोपड़ा वाली महाभारत है उसमें ये सब दिखाया हुआ है बट इट्स बीन लाइक मोर देन 15 इयर्स और सो जब मैंने देखा था बट द वे यू नैरेटेड देन आई कैन लाइक फ्रेम बाय फ्रेम मेरे सामने सारा स्टोरी.
Oh really?
So sweet.
Oh wow. मैंने
हम बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट के साथ देखते थे. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी टाइम्स आई हैव सीन लाइक रामायण महाभारत जब वो टीवी पे आया करता था. बट इतना सारा गैप हो गया है ना, तो थोड़ा बिट्स एंड पीसेस में आई कैन रिकॉल थिंग्स. बट thank you for telling it.
No,
Wonderful.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in.
And of course, even you can give us a call here, 408-832-8881. 408 832-8881.
Again, 408-832-8881. तो आल्टू बाबा, ये जो कृपाचार्य हैं, क्या ये ये because of him that Ashwatthama got his boon? Or of immortality? I mean,
no,
not boon.
Kripacharya was, I think Kripacharya was the reason for them to get the gem.
The Shamantakamani.
Shamantakamani.
Oh, really?
But the thing was,
I thought it was because Drona did that tapas to get Ashwatthama.
That's true. Ashwatthama also, by the way,
Lord Shiva blessed him with that.
So here's the thing, Padwani. Remember why I talked about Trinity? You said, like, why do you talk about this thing? There is a close connection to the Trinity. Ashwatthama is considered to be a Shiva, boon of Shiva, cursed by the creation, that is Vishnu.
Cursed by the protector. Yeah.
To meet the end where Shiva rules.
Yeah.
To find the creation ends with the Shiva, the destruction, right?
Right.
That's where destruction happens, then creation starts over again with Brahma.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, on a bird's eye view, on a systemic approach, if you look at it, right, actually is about how it's the Trinity only working its game. Creation, blah blah blah, formation, all the stuff, right? And we're all just pawns in the whole thing, right? And Kripacharya, again, if you look at it, we talked about Ashwatthama, we talked about Vyasa. I talked about Vyasa first because of the fact that you understand when we say, oh, immortals, it's a mystery. How can someone be immortal? We all know we age. We have to be bound with the world. The world has a cycle, right? It goes through the whole cycle. Always you think about, oh, we want to live longer, we'll live longer. But actually, if you look at it, living longer, connected to pipes and swallowing medicines is not the way to live longer. Live and make an impact so you can live on, not longer. You should live on like how these people have lived in our culture. We didn't have social media to post them. We didn't have websites for them to see, but we have always have these values and traditions, right? Like for instance, Vyasa is all about wisdom. And if you look at even now, what is running the world? Knowledge and wisdom, right? But we also know that there are elements like Ashwatthama's qualities, not Ashwatthama, I'll talk about his qualities, still there in the world, which is creating issues for us. The greed, the vengeance part of it, that the revenge, anger, angst, all those things, right? And insecurities. We still are plagued by those things, right? But at the same time, one more thing which I would want to bring about is the fact that the hope. Why do we say that teaching is a noble tradition? Teachers are noble. I know, we say we don't pay them enough, and I truly say that. But there was a concept where you don't actually pay teachers at all.
Yeah.
There was a Guru Dakshina which is to be given as a Dakshina, as whatever level you can. But now it's not
as
the way.
a form of gratitude practice.
Yes.
Because the knowledge sharing is supposed to be a selfless act.
Yeah.
It's an act that's why, hence the Brahmana term, right? That is the Brahma Jnana, the knowledge of the way of life and the way of the universe is something that needs to be imparted for the benefit of all those around us, right? It is not meant for, look at because power corrupts, okay, over concentration of knowledge and information with certain vested interests corrupts. So देखिए, जहाँ पे हमारा जो वर्ना सिस्टम था, एक गंदी किस्म का कास्ट सिस्टम किसने बनाया? बहुत एक्स्ट्रा दिमाग यूज किया कुछ लोगों ने, where they got corrupted. The corrupted intelligent fools, actually so-called intelligent fools, were the ones who created that system so that they can oppress those around them and withhold information from them.
True.
When that is where things start to go downhill. This is in our Kali Yuga that we are seeing. We don't know what happened in Dwapara Yuga. We don't know what happened. It's just basically the way we know is through the Kathavachakas. That is the people who have told us the story, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, Srimad Ramayanam. All these are things that are stories and folklore that have passed on through oral tradition, Bandhujan, and have come to us as of today, and of course through scriptures as well.
Yeah.
लेकिन वो तुम एक और चिरंजीव के बारे में बात करने वाले थे, वो कृपा शास्त्री है, राइट?
Kripacharya happens to be the maternal uncle of Ashwatthama. As in, he was related to the Dronacharya's wife's brother. इनका जो है ये है फालतवाड़ी. ये भी कहा जाता है कि हमारे चिरंजीवियों में चिरंजीवी हैं, right? Now I'll tell you why I'm trying to get this, because for me one of my favorite area of study was to understand how our Indian culture is, right? And what makes it so wonderful, and why is it so relevant even now in many ways. People might argue with me, people might say, he's just being a blah 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 all this stuff, but I'll tell you one thing, there is relevance to this, because when you talk about symbolism, Kripacharya was a teacher for both the Pandavas and the Kauravas. You know what is good about him? He was a treasure trove of wisdom and knowledge. But what's more important about him was the impartiality of his. So, a virtue which has to be there, which luckily, I'll just tell you, nowadays you might say, oh, the world is a mess. There are a lot of people out there still holding on to the virtue of impartiality. Who will say, you know what, it's not just about equality rights. Why are they still alive? The world could have come to a point where everything is like, topsy-turvy. People in power don't get everything else. But there's still a struggle over there. So I still feel in the concept of Kripacharya's existence, if you look at it as a metaphysical existence, the qualities of Kripacharya. Teachers, we still have teachers in the world. There are good teachers. There might be bad teachers, understandable, it's okay. But there are still good teachers out there, and that is where you'll find the formation of Kripacharya there. Teachers who believe in equity, who believe in trying to get equal opportunity for all the children in that thing, right? It's very rare. Yeah, people with special needs, if you look at it, हम लोग देखते हैं प्रज्ञा के parents के बारे में, that teachers, some of them are really, really good. That is the hope we have, right? So मैं बोलता हूँ कि जब हम ये 8 चिरंजीवियों की बात करते हैं, Chiranjeevi doesn't have to be a living being. Living is enough. They are living in our thoughts, in our ideologies. Like, if we, there was a very nice story somebody talked about the Inuit tribe, I believe. There was somebody talking about there's a black wolf, white wolf in the mind. Which one do I feed most? How do I control the black wolf? Black wolf being the negative one, white wolf being the positive one. Whichever you feed more is what the guy replies. It's a good story. So basically, in our life also, when we invoke all these things, you will not see Ashwatthama mentioned in those particular scriptures or particular traditions where we do all those pujas. If you understand every word the particular person reciting in your pujas, you'll understand this meaning. It takes some time. It took me some time to understand. But actually, if you look at it, ask the person. Many times, unfortunately, it's a mystery for us because the person reciting those mantras don't know the meaning of it. Find the right person who can actually give you the meaning of it. You'll understand what it is. They're talking about bringing those virtues in place to keep it going. That's why they will mention these particular Chiranjeevis in the mantras, including Hanumanji or whatever. Hanumanji also will talk about next thing, because we already come into close of our today's session, but next session we'll talk a little more detail about it. There are 8 people we talked about. I want to talk about the first person I want to give homage to is, of course, recognize the wisdom Vyasaji, because that's something which drives the entire world and creation also, right? Wisdom is nothing but experience over a period of time. जो इनके पास था, इसीलिए वो वेद को फिर से रचाएं. Though basically the say is when the pralaya happened at that time, Vyasa was the person who was able to recreate those 4 Vedas out of his own memory. Out of mere memory. That's the wisdom he had. But he also says one of those Puranas where he talks about the fact that what he could put back on the Vedas was only a fraction of what was there in the actual Vedas. So creation takes its own time, its own thing. We have to be, remembering these people, say that wisdom is very, very important. It is pretty much evident over here also. AI will not work without the collective wisdom of everybody. Wisdom is not a collection of data. Kripacharya is one person who we personify as impartiality, and wherever you see impartial way of doing things, you will see Kripacharya existence.
But something that is very curious for me, and it baffles my mind as to how Kripacharya was was kind of not. Ashwathama got targeted the way he did by Lord Krishna because that massacre that happened, right, when Duryodhana was killed by Bhima, right? The massacre that happened, Kripacharya actually was one of the people who went with Ashwathama and he's credited with killing Shikhandi, he's credited with killing wiping out that whole camp. He even wiped out the guards of Abhimanyu, apparently. So they say that that is post the war.
Yeah.
So he was also supporting, but what they say is that I don't know. My only way to reason this out is that Kripacharya did his dharma of supporting his nephew without furthering any, without actually taking this as a personal vendetta. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
So there's a saying, right? First of all, you should not go to war. There's a saying in our culture, Krishna says about this in the Mahabharata. Unfortunately, I cannot quote the mantra which it talks about because मुझे संस्कृत की इतना ज्ञान नहीं है. But जो पढ़ा है हमने English translation में, Krishna says, first of all, don't go to war. But if you go to war, don't just sit like a person. And that's what he tells Arjuna, right?
Yeah.
You come to war, you come, face the music and then go.
Right.
Kripacharya ji also same thing, right? He faced the music and then he was done with that.
Right.
But the thing is, what I know of Ashwathama, what I've read at least, supposedly went into the campsite at the night time all by himself.
Really?
So that is where he actually.
But they say that Kripacharya and one
Yeah,
more.
but as a code of conduct for wars,
Yeah.
you don't attack children.
Yeah.
You don't attack during the night times.
Yeah.
Guerrilla warfare came in only afterwards.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, he set the precedence for all those things.
Yeah.
There was a time to clock in and fight and clock out after you fight.
Yeah.
So the conch was the thing of that, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, there was a system which is not followed, and actually speaking, at that time, Ashwathama killed hundreds and thousands of people when the population was only 1/10 of what we are right now. Imagine if right now we are 1 billion, right? 7 billion. At that time, probably a million. And if you kill 100,000, 102,000 people, you're wiping out civilizations. You're wiping out families, wiping out. That's what he did when he went to attack them when they were resting. When the war was declared already. You don't, once it's declared as a winner, you should not go back and mess it up, right? And as far as my knowledge goes, Kripacharya, I don't think he went all the way.
He did.
He did?
Actually, he was the one who made way for Ashwathama to go in and do whatever he needs to do. Only because without Kripacharya's help, Ashwathama would not have been able to get in. Because they say that he was such a huge, amazing archer and warrior that he actually was the person who could carry out or pull off such a stunt.
Yeah.
And they say that after that also he was the one, he returned and he went to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari and he told them what happened because Dhritarashtra was obviously not in the battlefield, right? So he told them what happened, and it seems it is Kripacharya who told Karna that, you need to stop, you need to give up and make peace. Basically, that it is not, don't fight on the side of adharma.
So 100% Mandivali.
Yeah.
So he's still existent.
No, but the Mandavali that he did continued afterwards also. It seems Dhritarashtra said, don't follow us into when they go, the Vanaprastha-ashrama. They went off into the forest. It seems, what's his name? Kripacharya, because of his loyalty to the Kuru, that family, he said, I will come with you with the Kauravas. But then it seems Dhritarashtra said, no, don't do that. And he actually encouraged Yudhishthira to to have Kripacharya on his council as a minister. So that he can continue. And he continued, he was able to guide them, and once they retired and they went into the Himalayas, he continued to train Parikshit. And now they say that he still exists in Kali Yuga. He continues to be here. And at the end of Kali Yuga, right, when his nephew Ashwathama meets Kalki, and when this Kali Yuga ends, he is supposed to be transcending, because he won't die basically. He'll transcend to become one of the Saptarishis. So, and which is basically the guiding forces for the next cosmic cycle. So it's called the what is it called? Manvantra. What is it called?
Mantra. Yeah, correct.
That's one whole big cosmic cycle. Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga.
And
then
one
whole cycle happens, and those are the Saptarishis he will be transcending to that level, is what they believe.
So this is still a mystery. We don't know. This is what little bit what we read out here, and then of course we are scooping a small scoop of a teaspoon out of the huge iceberg which is showing up on the surface. Still iceberg में तो और नीचे है और डेप्थ पे जा सकते हो. जाएगा जरूर. मिस्ट्री तो है ही. But अभी तक हमें मालूम नहीं. But the way I see it is, they probably are existed only in a metaphysical way. But Fatwani is saying no, he probably exists in physical way. I still feel metaphysical way because the fact that existence need not be physicality. It took me some time to realize, but that's true. And then if you look at that way, we are blessed to have them in our midst. I don't know how, why, when, all those things, but the fact is they still are there. And we have to celebrate that part. Yes, Faltani, you were saying something.
There's another thing. All these accounts that we talked about, Kripacharya and Ashwathama and everything, this is from the Vishnu Purana. Now, who authored the Purana?
Good one. Faltani.
Another Chiranjeevi, that was Vedavyasa.
Yes.
So, imagine if this were not true. And if it were not documented, how much imagination should Vedavyasa and how much time should he have had?
There was no television
to
at
come
that
up with
time.
like so many different sub-stories, subplots, this, that. Documentation. And one lifetime is not enough, Bandhujan, to write so much.
Definitely not.
It is definitely not. So many characters.
Given you had to write only during the day because there was a light time.
Yeah, exactly. How? And he didn't write personally, right?
Yeah.
It was written by another being that
also is symbolic. Okay.
That's symbolic because it wasn't Vedavyasa couldn't have personally written it.
Yeah.
So it was Katha Vachaka, which Altu Baba said, which is the person who perpetuates and propagates the tradition through oral tradition, the story. But somebody had to write it, document it, and the documentation was done by somebody who obviously this at the speed at which he's saying the person to keep up with the writing
has to be of some particular level. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
And also, there's one more thing which we want to talk about in the future, but saying that whether existence of aliens known to us, that's there. We'll talk about that. We're still doing research on whether it actually is true, whether there are aliens around there or not. Are there aliens at all mentioned in our Puranas also? You got to think about that.
Yeah.
You got to think about it. It's something which is a mystery for us. But definitely a mystery of all, which you talked about, the mystical mystery, which Faltani called it. This is a show about the mystical. It's mystic, right? We don't know. They say they're there. Where are they? Like the 9 horsemen, like the 9...
Yeah. The 9 horsemen.
Where are they? Were they part of the thing? Are they considered to be... Because I would say they also could be as... If they were symbolic in nature, it still is something that might be there. And somebody on Facebook, I think Vibhaji's posted something saying that Kripacharya definitely exists in Prajna. It's thank you for the statement. But if you look at it as a metaphysical existence, he's existent everywhere. It is, what do you call that, Faltani? Where omnipresent around the universe. If you're existent as a Chiranjeevi, you pretty much are in the living...
Omniscient, yeah.
You're omniscient. So basically, you'll be everywhere where you can, wherever is needed, right? Yeah. Like Hanumanji is omnipresent. We'll talk about him in the next series of our Mystery Mondays, because he also considers to be Chiranjeevi. And people misunderstand the word Vanara. I want to clarify that to people also as to why they should not call it as a monkey god. We depicted him as a monkey god, put a monkey face to him. It's not that. We'll talk about that thing in the next week. If you want to learn more about that, just tune in for the next Monday, Mystical Mondays, that's next week.
Yeah, we will continue the saga of the Ashta Chiranjeevis, Bandhujan. Today we talked about Ashwathama and his maternal uncle Mamu. That was... Kripacharya
and Vyasa,
and of course we talked about Vedavyasa. And today we will continue to cover the other Chiranjeevis in the upcoming episodes of the Pam Pam Show. The reason we are looking at this is because this is something that not many people talk about. Okay, and the reason it's remained a mystery is because of the fact that not many people have gone and researched this.
Yeah,
Well, possibly a lot of people have, but you
they
know,
have.
it's been Western education
Exactly.
has swept it under the rug or under the guise of calling it mythological.
Yes, and again, Western culture, I would say colonization. Colonization actually changed the way education was imparted onto our generations.
Correct.
Luckily, or whatever it's called Sanatana Dharma, which has no end, no beginning. It means keeps on going, has a tradition. It has stayed alive in the people of in our bloods, in our DNA. So a good thing is coming up right now. So the thing is, we should just make sure that we are aware of it. There's nothing wrong in being aware, right? Prajna about it is important.
No, I mean, to glean from that knowledge, of course, you can say, oh, there is somebody who's got afflicted with all problems and is walking around, and you think, is that Ashwatthama? No. But to think about the consequences of our actions and to think about the consequences of our own thought processes, our perceptions, and the way we perceive the world, and to understand and live in the humility that we don't know it all.
Yeah, and also...
And we may not be able to know it all.
And possibly also try to imbibe some of the qualities of these individuals who are Chiranjeevis. Now, there is also a reason why I say that Vyasa is very right about what he's saying, right? It gives us a possibility that we can also be that way. So all these people were of human origin. Human origin, I'll say it again, they were born to a human being, not gods transcending from the top, from the realm of Deva thing, whatever. They might say the origin story will be different, but the concept is Vyasa was a human being.
Kripacharya was born to a sage and a nymph. So he was a demigod kind of thing between.
But again, we're going to come to the point. The future episodes, watch out, because we go deeper into the demigod concepts also. Are those aliens? I don't know. We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah, but like Alto Baba said, nature versus nurture. He also became such a astounding warrior because of the fact that he was raised onwards after the baby was given away. He was raised by the Sharadvan. Okay, and so he's also known as Sharadvan Putra. So he was who was a king at that time. So he became, that is where of the Kuru dynasty, so that is where the loyalty to that dynasty comes in. कि वहाँ से जैसे, and even for that matter, every single warrior, so they say that no matter how much wisdom and intellect and knowledge and skills and expertise you have, if you are not on the right side of things, or if you're not on the side of dharma, of righteousness, of the path of righteousness, then it's not going to be fruitful, because who they had Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Ashwatthama, they had Bhishma. I mean, what amazing warriors that were there. And those, they couldn't.
But again, that's something which we're going to talk detail about later on. We're not talking about our Puranas right now. Mystery. This is a mystical thing about immortals of India, right?
Right.
So I hope you enjoyed today's show. We enjoyed presenting it. Yes, this is just the part 1. We'll come to the part 2 next week. We'll complete the whole list of 8. And then questions will crop up, and I want you guys to participate in the questions also for sure. And thank you so much, everybody following us on Facebook. Deepaji, Vibaji, we have Jackie who's still listening us on Facebook. Thank you, Jackie, for tuning in. We also have, did I mention Meenakshi ji? Yes, Meenakshi ji also is there. Many more people. Vishal ji is there. All those people out there, thank you so much for following us. I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. And of course, sorry if I missed out any of the names. There's a lot of things. I have to scroll through a whole big list. Yeah. So just go ahead and just post your comments on the thing, and of course participate in our next show for sure. Probably we'll do a little more marketing in terms of telling you what's going to happen, so you can participate and also have a say in the because ये show जो हमारा होता है is all about us having interactions with you guys. Again, let me also put a disclaimer there. We're not scholars. Yeah. Well, let me rephrase that. We are scholars, as in we're trying to learn, right? We are forever.
We're students of life.
Scholars are supposed to be students of life, Fatvani. The natural word meaning of scholar in Greek means that itself. But the point is, we are misunderstanding that just because you got a degree or all that is wrong. Yeah. Constantly we are learning in life, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present this for you guys, because it also enriched my life. All right. Father, any closing thoughts for our bandhus?
No, but just stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be back with Teaser Tuesdays, and we'll talk about some of the movies that are coming up or have come up or are playing or are going to be playing very soon. There's some really some movies that people are really looking forward to that will be releasing very soon, and we'll talk about those movies. And also some of the OTT releases tomorrow. So don't forget to tune in. We'll be here 5:30-ish. And we will be here to conduct the show, the Pam Pam show. अगर आपने अभी तक download नहीं किया है,
why?
If you're watching us on Facebook, please download the Radio Dehotties app. RADIO-DEHOTTIES. This is the app on iOS and Android. Now, let's say all else fails. You're not able to pull up Radio Dehotties in your Tesla or your BMW iX or whatever thing. You can tell your Tesla or your BMW iX or any of the other cars that you drive which are edge enabled to play Radio Dehotties on TuneIn. Yes, you will have to go because we are a pretty popular program. We are a pretty popular network. You will hear some ads that'll come in the beginning and may come in the middle of our program, but it will not cut off our program.
It'll start where it stopped.
It'll continue where it stopped. And I have personally tried listening, and you just have to say play Radio Dehotties on TuneIn.
Yeah.
And believe me, you Banjan, the kind of music and the I'm sort of like Kripacharya because I'm not impartial, because I'm very hard on myself. No, you ask anybody in the world, I'm my worst critic.
Even that's bad, actually.
Yeah, it's really bad. But we criticize we critique our own programming, and in a way it's a good thing because Mahima ji taught us to be that way.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can keep yourself in check. So we listened to different. Oh my God. Made a desperate attempt to try to tune in and listen to other programming that was there.
That's very brave of you, courageous of you.
It was very courageous.
I will definitely give you credit for that.
Baba, you're not going to believe what a torture it was.
I can understand, Fatima.
It was torture, and I was like, you know what? This is not because it's us, but it is the fact that Media Mahima has a certain standard that we have established in terms of radio programming, and a certain standard when it comes to funformation, which I don't believe that you would find this kind of funformation anywhere else, Bandujan. So, and of course, Bandhu interaction. So please do spread the word. Please do let more people know about it. We'd love to hear from you. We are a community-based radio, truly in every sense of the term. Media Mahima is a 501c3 non-profit organization. All the funds go towards the organization and towards the upkeep of the South Asian culture, for the South Asian diaspora as well as mainstream diaspora, mainstream community, wherever you are, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in the United States. Here we are in the Bay Area. So this is for the mainstream communities to become acculturated to what we stand for and what we stand for as a South Asian voice and a South Asian culture. So us hisab se Media Mahima conducts radio programming and also has event-based programming. Like this Saturday is going to be our 90 के बादशाह और 90 के बेगम जो भी है, please come because we have our nostalgic 90s happening this Saturday, right?
It's going to be a fun event, Banjan. We're just going to go kind of a throwback. You can say it's a throwback.
Yeah.
We're going to relive the 90s for ourselves, right?
It's a karaoke night, Banjan. It's $15. We cook our own food. It's all home style food, and you get to come enjoy, sing your songs, participate, get to listen to other people singing, share fun stories from the 90s, like if you bought tickets in black and went and watched this particular or if you watched this movie, like I came to know that somebody watched a movie of Devanand. Narenji said he watched a movie of Devanand 25 times.
What?
Yeah. So
did you understand the first time?
No, he watched it because he vowed to himself that he's going to watch the movie over and over again.
There's one person I know who actually is very famous in our network called as Babu Moshai. He was a person who had told that at the time he would sneak out of colleges to just go watch movies.
Correct.
And he watched every single movie in theaters.
Yes.
in the 80s and 90s.
Yes, yeah, he would actually sneak out and go watch all those movies.
Yeah, so those we have those kind of bandhus out here. So definitely we'd love to hear you, watch you guys come in. We're going to talk about. Let's do a whole era. Let's relive that moment. It's going to be all night kind of. It's going to be it's generally our GC. Oh, by the way, alternate days weeks when you have the in person, but this time we have in person. So it's going to go from 7 all the way.
No, not 7. We're going to start at 5
o'clock and going to go all the way until midnight. Probably more also. We have known to go until 2 o'clock sometimes.
And this time what we're doing, Bandajan, is typically we have our thematic Buck show, which we do, and then after that there's a break and then we start our off-air, right? This time it's going to be, everything is going to be streamed online.
What?
Yes.
My God.
Yes.
That live streaming of 5 hours is going to be a historic thing we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Definitely make sure you tune in. Our streams are wonderful. You can check it out on the app or go to YouTube and check it out for sure.
Yes.
But coming back to the thing, I want to wrap it up and just tell our guys, Bandhu, that you can go back and take some rest. And of course, don't worry. Week after this, there's more stuff to talk to you about, because week after this particular Saturday, that is the next Saturday, not this Saturday, the next Saturday after next Saturday, we actually have a wonderful event called Dingchak Dhamal.
Dandiya. Exactly, Bandajan. Dingchak Dhamal Dandiya. Sanedo, sari raat sanedo. Meaning, we are going to be at the SES Center, Bandajan, which is right here in Santa Clara after 3 years of the pandemic. And outdoor dandiyas. We are coming back with our indoor dandiya, Dhamal Dingchak Dandiya, which is the longest running with the first ever inclusive, all integrated dandiya, Bandajan, where people of all neurological makeup get to come to this particular dandiya. It is only $20 for entry. हाँ, थोड़ी देर से हम लोग announce किए इसको. We had the idea.
Hey, let's be honest about it. I'll tell you one thing, Bandajan, the reason why we did this, a little bit late.
Yeah.
यार कुछ भी अनाउंस करे सब लोगों से कॉपी कर लेते हैं यार.
Correct.
So we have to wait till the end with the launch, because creativity मतलब we are creative, so we come with nice creative names, so we just want to make sure people don't copy those creative names until the last minute.
Yeah.
So we waited until last minute to launch
it. And we had to find a nice location also, Bandajan, which will fit, because think about it, it's an inclusive dandiya, because we want to make sure our sensory challenges of some of our individuals who are neurodiverse will be account mein lene ke liye, so that they can also have some places to decompress. We had to find an ideal location, and truly it's a place of God. It's a divine place that we found. It's a really amazing place, and we are so blessed. We're so blessed that we're kicking off Navratri with Mata Rani ki blessings, because the Shiv Durga temple of the Bay Area have come together to partner with us to make this event happen, Bandajan.
Yep.
And we are eternally grateful. We really want to request each and every single one of you to please come forward, and the best gift and the reward in the world, Bandajan, is to be able to experience it right then and there. बोलते हैं कि instant gratification करके कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन when you come to this dandiya, you will experience that reward of coming to the dandiya then, right then and there, because of the joy that you will see in the individuals who you are coming to support.
Yeah, we have live singing also, Bandajan. Definitely come up. We have an Narendraji who actually sings for multiple. He's like a Narendra Chanchal for our Bay Area. He does all kinds of he does a lot of bhajans in different ways. You probably know him also. We also have one of our long time. We are big fans of her, Bharti Joshi. She also performs a lot of programs. Yeah. She's going to make a comeback with this particular thing. He's going to have a wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful session. Come, I'm not going to say anything more than this.
Live singing and our Dingchak Dhamal part.
Yeah.
Dingchak Dhamal part is the D-Hotty wale, DJ wale Baba, who's going to be spinning the latest tracks, whether it is Gujju Pataka, that song, or that is the Doli Taro Dol Bajo, Nagada Sangi Dol Bajo,
Ochogada Sala, Ochogada Sali.
There's like Sali, whatever. So there's like a bunch. But an amazing
You never
playlist.
know. We also might have a special appearance by DJ Kutumani. We'll go talk about that also, Bandajan. We'll have a lot of things happening for you guys. If you're wondering who are this DJ Kutumani, who is DJ Wale Baba?
Oh, you'll get a cardio kut. You remember that cardio workout for sure.
DJ Kutumani is famous for the program which is world famous called Bolly Belly Busters. If you didn't know about that, the Triple B, he actually was a person who he coined the particular term, and people actually lost a lot of things. And he himself claims that he busted his belly because of the Bolly Belly Busters.
He got lost with the jet. Well, it's an inside joke. You'll only understand
When you come there.
Yeah, you have to come to the Ding Chak Dhamal Dandiya. Tickets kaise lene hain? You can go to Shiv Durga Temple.
Physical tickets available.
Physical tickets are available there. $20 hai. या pragnya.org/DDD.
DDD.
Pragnya.org/DDD. Panujan, I'm only going to tell you this, that nobody deserves to be alone or feel isolated or feel like if they die, their child is left to the mercy of the world. Where their child, that they cannot die. That is the worst feeling on the face of this earth. As a society, we need to come together and we need to make sure that we are there for each other and we step up in circles of support. So I think even the Dandiya itself, the Garba, the Ras that we do itself is indicative of the fact that we dance in circles. No one person is a big star. We are all together. Together we are all better. And that's what we are trying to do with this Ding Chak Dhamal Dandiya, Panujan. There are many options you guys will have to go. कहाँ पे भी जाना है आपको, बहुत सारे options होंगे. ओ ये स्टार गाता है, वो स्टार गाता है, कुछ
मंदिर में प्रोग्राम है, जाओ बाद में जाओ. We're doing it just before. We're launching the Dandiya season for you.
लेकिन हम बस बोल रहे हैं हमारा एक दांडिया है October 14th.
$25 है बस.
$20 है.
So $20 है बस.
$20 है. And अगर यहाँ पे आएंगे तो आपको इतनी खुशी मिलेगी एंड ना सिर्फ आपको खुशी मिलेगी, जो लोग जिनको जिंदगी भर का गम नसीब है.
चलो सारे काम एक बता देता हूँ आप लोगों को बनुजन, आपकी खुशी नहीं मेरी खुशी के लिए आ जाओ. जब आप यहाँ पे आओगे तो मुझे खुशी होगी. थैंक यू. हाँ,
सिर्फ आलतू को खुशी नहीं होगी बंजा. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट पीपल हु आर डेवलपमेंटली डिफरेंट, जो जनरली डू नॉट एक्सपीरियंस दिस काइंड ऑफ लव एंड जॉय will get to experience if you come.
हाँ, मुझे भी खुशी होगी.
हाँ, आलतू को भी खुशी होगी, मुझे भी खुशी होगी बंजा, सभी को खुशी होगी. आलतू को खुशी होगी इसीलिए आएंगे क्या?
तो क्या हुआ?
हाँ ठीक है.
अगर जो कहते हैं ना,
अगर तेरे को पसंद नहीं करते तो
चलेगा ना. आओ तो सही, आके बताओ, जाके rub it into my nose, देखो मैं आ गई और आ गया.
Rub my nose into it, rub it into my nose.
हाँ,
क्या बोलता है?
ताकि वो साइनस निकल जाए ना.
हाँ. So anyway, please buy your tickets, Panjan. Pragnya.org/DDD, or you can get it from the Shiv Durga Temple in the Bay Area, which is right here at Flora Vista Avenue in Sunnyvale.
Alright, तो इसी के साथ बंजन हम लोग अभी बोलने वाले हैं कि we're going to see you tomorrow, yes, with our new program, or pre-program with our program extension of Teaser Takedown Tuesdays.
Good night, Shabba Khair, and प्यार भरा.
You are listening to Radio D Hotties, powered by Mahima Creations.
Hey guys, this is Deepika Padukone and you're listening to me on Radio De Hotties with Arzu Baba and Faltu Rani, where entertainment just got hotter.
Hi, this is Akshay Kumar and you are